I'm Greg Kelly. I'm the Managing Director of the Bridge Progressive Arts Initiative, and you are watching Meet the Farmer TV.
Next on Meet the Farmer TV, The Bridge, a progressive arts initiative, a rooftop garden on a bus, and we'll interview a filmmaker about an award-winning short documentary.
Meet the Farmer TV is made possible by Planet Earth Diversified, Melli Productions, and Leslie P. Jenkins Photography and Graphic Design. In the Kitchen Magazine, serving the community and everyone who loves good food. Culpeper's Channel 21, helping to preserve the agricultural history of Virginia, and Flavor Magazine, serving the Piedmont's local food and wine culture.
Arugula to zucchini at the White House.
Save the family's life.
In the kitchen.
And the bill passed.
A model for local food production.
And for locally grown food.
It's about market access.
Plants don't have personalities. I got one.
I call it the new American agriculture, and our whole agriculture education system is going to change.
We have a great solution to some of these crises that we're now facing.
And you're watching.
And you're watching.
And you're watching.
And you're watching
Meet the Farmer TV. Let's talk to Greg Kelly, the Managing Director of The Bridge, this progressive arts initiative that every year puts on this special festival.
The Bridge is a community arts organization here in Charlottesville, Virginia, and this evening's event is a screening of a collection of films on the harvest theme, which is food, farm, and animals. I personally believe that food is food preparation and cooking and farming and agriculture are an art form, and that really that why food is so important, and it's important to this organization, is because we're trying to affect positive change in our community, our local community. And it really, if you look at food, it really all stems out from that. If you think about the impact that agriculture and farming methods, distribution, the quality of the food that you're eating, the nutrition that has a tremendous impact on every other issue in a community, as far as the health of young minds and education, and I believe it ripples out to everything from crime rates to just the general well-being and health of the greater community. So if we can incorporate food into what we're doing, then we're utilizing that again as another medium on top of film and visual arts and all of that to really affect true positive change. The goal of the Harvest program is to expose our audience to a wide range of various ideas and different mediums and creative expression in the realm of food, farm, and animals, but also to present some of the issues that are affecting local farms and food specifically in our community. And we do that, if the program was a train, it would have two rails. So we have a public rail and a private rail throughout the month. The public being a group art exhibition curated by Jeremy Taylor and Allison Melberg. A number of live music events, including 2 benefits. The reading room, which we're in now, which has a lot of resources on local groups such as the local food hub, the First Street Sanctuary, Food Not Bombs, and then some of the classics by Wendell Berry, Alice Waters, and other bigger names, so that people can really get a wide range of information on both local, regional, national sort of issues revolving around food and farming. And the private rail of this is 2 brunches that we're doing, 2 Sunday brunches that are purveyed by Roundabout Farms and the local food hub. And we've invited community leaders, food enthusiasts, and artists, and people who can hold a good conversation all to gather around, literally around a table, and eat a good home-cooked meal. And the focus for those conversations was on the issue of access. So our specific goal was to get leaders in that area. So we've invited Gordon Walker from JABA, Karen Waters from Quality Community Council and their Urban Farm program. And who else is in the mix there? We've got folks from Food Not Bombs, Thomas Rahal from Moss Restaurant, Robin Megan Weary from Roundabout Farms will be with us this Sunday. So there's a wide range of people who are really dealing directly with the issue of access. We get them down and eat a great meal and talk about issues, and then it just leads to other points of conversation builds the network and hopefully gets people to create some active dialogue that goes beyond this program. The issue of access has been a big focus for this program, and what we mean by access is really getting food to low-income communities. There's the common misconception or reality that it's not so easy to get a hold of local, fresh, organic food at a reasonable price. We're trying to help get the word out on how we can change that and affect positive change in that direction in our community and beyond. Also, access being to information on nutrition, on farming, on some of the amazing ideas that are in the works of Wendell Berry and many others about sustainable agriculture and the need for that knowledge at this time in our community and beyond as well. Tonight, we're going to showcase the work of local filmmaker Richard Robinson and his film, The-BeeKeepers. That'll be sort of the main event as far as the screening. And then we also have Emily and Graham, who are with us from UVA, both art students who have Nourishment Projects, which is a project that's housed in a biodiesel bus with a garden on the roof. And they traveled the country this past summer and I believe plan to go back out on the road again to teach people about issues of gardening, farming, food, nutrition, health, and get the word out in that way, in a really unique way, which is the Nourishment Bus, which is with us tonight as well. We're at www.thebridgepai.com, and our website is a great resource to find out more about the organization, not only our history and our current events, but what's to come. And people should get on the mailing list and come out and support us. So one of our goals with the Harvest program is that it will act literally as a seed to create a ripple effect after this month in which we can bring about more conversation, more events of this type, and to extend the programming to really have a further effect on, a positive effect in our community on food and farm issues. So Harvest came about through conversations specifically with farmers at the farmers market. And I had a conversation with Megan Weary. We were talking about some of the issues that face farmers in our community, about sustainability, about keeping the tractors going, about finding good help and really making things easier for them. We wanted to lend our support in some way to that. And one of my conspiracies has always been that I believe the foods are an art, that farming is an art form, and that if we could have some way to incorporate that into our programming as an arts organization, it would be a great mix, it'd be a great fit. So we continued those conversations, brought some community leaders together, came up with some ideas, and started to map out this month of programming around these ideas. And the big idea that came out of that was access. And we really want this program to continue. We want Harvest, again, to be something that has a lasting impact beyond this month. So, and what we really need is the community's help in coming to us, realizing that the Bridge is a resource. We have not only our physical space, but we have a large volunteer base who many are very progressively minded and already engaged in a lot of community issues, including food and farming, and that we really want to open the doors to have the community come to us, use the space to host events, to get the word out about efforts within the larger community, and really hopefully create a larger impact. So the Bridge really needs volunteer support, and so we ask the community to please contact us and please help us support these programs, because our effort is really to benefit the community of Charlottesville. And we're a staff of one, and so we really operate the heart and soul of what we do as volunteer support. So we need the community to come out, get involved, and help support these types of programs, help us run events, help us get mailers out, help us get the word on the street, help us curate and put together exhibitions and events and film screenings. We are open to the public. We're here so that the public has access to those resources, but also can directly contribute to curating art events, music events, and bring their message to the community through the Bridge. So we hope people will get involved in that way.
Now let's check out an amazing rooftop garden, not on a building, but on a bus, traveling around, recycling wastewater, composting inside and running on biodiesel. Two grad students, alumni of University of Virginia, Graham Evans and Emily Nelson.
Well, nourishment is embodied in a bus, and the bus runs on waste vegetable oil, and there is a garden on the top of the bus in just a wooden frame box with about 15 inches of soil. And we've got squash in there, we've got radishes, lettuce, Swiss chard, eggplant, lots of basil and some cherry tomatoes. And so it's our garden, it's our little tiny farm. And then we also have container gardening going on inside the bus. And lots of other projects inside the bus, like the seed bank and the vermiculture worm compost bin. So that's sort of the physical embodiment of the bus, and then the project has grown a lot beyond that, and it's become this sort of community that's helped us and collaborated with us. You know, we've changed because of our interaction with everybody that we've met, and the project has changed. So.
And for the project, we this summer drove the bus around the Midwest primarily, and there cooked food after growing it. We grew, cooked, and shared food with people. And the art and activism ultimately of the project is in that we build relationships with people through the sharing of food. And
Yeah, we believe that art should be a process which nourishes people. You know, normally art is something that is on the wall in a museum or a gallery, and it's beautiful, and you know, it does nourish people in a way, but we're looking for a more engaged, a more relevant art form right now that is relevant to people's lives and can really impact people.
And food is ultimately the thing that connects all people, and we believe that all people can come together around food. So we found that we could connect to people everywhere we went, and people were a little wary of taking food from strangers, especially prepared food. But at the same time, it was one of the best ways that we had to bring people into our sphere and to begin conversations and get to know them. And food is an amazing tool, and a thing that in connecting all people is a real tool for peace and for the work that we need in building communities. Emily and I both really truly believe in the power of community to heal the world, and believe in the power of food to do that as well as a result. And we believe that if we change the way we eat, we change everything.
Like Graham was saying, food is something that everybody relies on, and there are cultural differences between the way people eat, but it is ultimately the thing that unites all humanity, and we just think that that's incredibly beautiful, you know, just as a concept, and that is our art. That's what we're using to make our project work right now. So we start by sharing food with people, and then use that to have conversations about all the different things we've been learning about, like biofuels, gardening. You know, we didn't start gardening till last spring, and in a serious way. So we've learned so much just in the past 6 months, and we're excited to share that with people. And then from those conversations, relationships have grown. We've learned things from other people, and the project has just evolved. If you go to our website, which again is www.nourishment.org, Nourish, MEANT, you can make a donation to the project through PayPal, and you just click contribute on the side of the website. So that would be a huge help to us.
Yeah. And also on the website, we're going to be continuing to build a library of responses to the question, what does nourishment mean to you? And if that's accessible for anybody to go see, so that we have made our own conclusions about some of the answers we've listened to, but we'd love for other people to go and start thinking about the same question, what does nourishment mean to them, and listen to other people's responses and really start to think, you know, again and again people would say, wow, that's a hard question. What does nourishment mean to me? But they all agreed it's a really important question, and that's what we think too, you know? So we all need to be asking ourselves the question, what does nourishment mean to us? And are we being nourished? And if we're not, we clearly need to make some major changes in our lives, both as individuals and as a collective. So that's a part of it. And then also, again, a big part of the project was just demonstrating how easy it is to engage in small projects and small scale things that can really make your life more rich in providing more for yourself, whether it be planting a garden or making a worm bin, whatever it is. And so I think a lot of people are intimidated by these things. Our generation has a burgeoning interest in these kind of things, but ultimately frequently does not have the knowledge that 2 generations ago people had everywhere. So it's really important to be spreading this kind of information and ultimately spreading it in a really accessible way. So I think another big part of how the website is going to develop is making information on home fermentation and culturing of food, gardening, small scale, larger scale, biofuels, energy storage, permaculture, and all sorts of things, making those accessible to people in easy and fun ways. And so the website is going to continue to expand in that way as well. And I think also we found that so many people have gotten involved in the project and been excited about the project that it's going to develop in ways that we can't even imagine, right now. But
I'd estimate that over 200 people have helped us build the bus. We had a lot of collaborative work days this summer, and friends of friends would just come out and donate their time. It was really amazing.
Now let's talk to Richard Knox Robinson, the filmmaker who made The-BeeKeeper, ran in a dozen film festivals, including Sundance, and won the Best Short Documentary in the Atlanta Film Festival.
It's such a different thing than when I was a kid. When I first kept bees, the environment supported them. And you didn't have to do much, you just had to watch out for certain things. Occasionally I would get sick, occasionally you'd have a harsh winter and you'd lose a colony, but for the most part they took care of themselves. Now, the maintenance that you have to do on a colony is extreme compared to when I started. And that speaks to me about the environment a lot. And that's, so I started doing my research, and one of the first things I came across was there was the National Academies of Science had written a report in 2007, basically saying that the pollinator issue is so extreme that it's actually, they seem to think it was worse than global warming. And that kind of jarred me quite a bit, and I was surprised to see that in the report, and actually put that in the film, because one of the funny things in the film, and they said in their report, they sort of implied that this issue would never be a film because it doesn't have that appeal. And so I said, well, okay, I'm going to make it a film.
Over the years, the profession of beekeeping has served a number of roles. It first served the purposes of religion. In the beginning, the bees were considered sacred, and honey was used in religious rites. The attendants to the cult of Demeter were called the Melissae, coming from the Greek word for honeybee. In fact, almost all ancient religions paid some tribute to the bees. Later, the church followed suit. It required that all church candles be made of beeswax. To satisfy this new need for wax, monasteries started keeping bees.
And it's an art film. I mean, there was a lot of stuff I was trying to do in the film. But one of the, it was funny, the film changed a lot in the process of making it, because I learned new things. And the Beekeepers had a big influence on, a major influence on how I decided to go with it. And one of the first things I heard that was really interesting was everybody kept saying, oh, the bees are the canary in the coal mine.
In ancient Egypt, beekeepers would travel with their bees on rafts up and down the Nile. They would start the season in the south and follow the season to the north until it played itself out. Today's commercial beekeepers do pretty much the same thing. They start the year in Florida and end up in Maine. With their bees on trucks instead of rafts, they follow the flowering plants up and down Interstate 95. So it just made sense to take them into space. But whatever the intended metaphor of taking bees into space, one thing is clear. When the miners used the canaries to test the mines for methane gas, they knew that if the canaries died, the mines weren't safe to go in. So they would stay home and not go into the mines. With the bees, as the new canaries in the coal mine, things are a little bit different. We don't have the option that the coal miners did. The coal mine is now the whole planet, and there's no other place to go.
You know, I tried to interview people connected with the issue, and I got to do an interview with David Hackenberg before he got overwhelmed with media attention. And he was the discoverer of colony collapse disorder.
Think there'll be too much noise? Huh?
Do we need to move, or
No, he's all right. You got something else to do for cold, Matt? Huh?
You want to get this?
Yeah, I can get it then. All right, put those queens. I didn't put them back in. They're down there by the mixer. Shut that door, keep bees out. Yeah, I'll get it. Set it in there. Huh? Yeah, I'm going to. Testing. Testing again. So we were opening up these beehives frantically, and there's no bees. It's like somebody took a sweeper and just swept them out. There's no bees on the ground, no bees in the boxes, but the funny thing about it, there was brood left behind. There was frames of brood, young bees. Some of them had a queen and a handful of bees, but for the most part, the bees are gone. Just like they flew off and didn't come back. But the other interesting thing was the bee boxes are sitting there full of honey. 150 yards away across the field sits another yard of bees belong to somebody else, 100 hives of bees roughly. They're not even robbing these boxes out. The small hive beetles and the wax moth, they're not bothering them either. Now wait, all of a sudden, you tell yourself there's something mystery going on here, because these are things you just don't see happening. I mean, the bees should have been robbing the boxes out. The other bees 100 yards away should have been there cleaning the honey out of these boxes. There should have been hive beetles and there should have been wax moth living in that dead stuff. And they weren't there. I mean, it was just like a ghost town.
He was the one that sounded the alarm before the scientists were aware what was going on. It seemed like he had a key that they didn't have. And the thing he led me to, and you don't see this a lot in his interviews, is the idea of pesticides. He really felt that the neonicotinoids that had come out recently, the systemic pesticides, were, as he says, a large part of the blame. And he was trying to get people to pay attention to that. And that's one of, I think, the unfortunate things is that they're not. Largely in this country, there's a big divide between Europe and America, where in Europe, they're starting to ban these pesticides, and they've banned them in Italy, Germany, and France, and they're looking to do it in England. And whereas in America, if pesticides are mentioned, they're always at the bottom of the list, and they're not really given a lot of support. And it's as I dug deeper into that, I started to realize the politics of pesticides and the history of pesticides, and it became more and more troubling. the further I went back. And actually there's a segment in the piece about, the connection between pesticides and chemical warfare agents, that they come from the same industry. And it's basically when we're in war, they make chemical warfare agents, and when we're at peace, they make pesticides. They just dilute, it's a little more complicated than that, but largely after World War II, the chemical warfare producers, the chemical agencies that made things, like mustard gas and whatnot, and also DDT was originally intended for use in the Pacific arena of World War II. They just, found a way to use it in the civilian, in the peacetime applications. So that was, David Hackenberg really tied me into that. But one of the other things I wanted to do with the film that was real important was I wanted it to be an art film, but I also wanted it to kind of show this rich history of beekeeping, because when I first got into beekeeping as a kid, as a young man, I was obsessed with reading about it, and I knew quite a bit about what was there, and it's got a 3,000-year-old history, and so I wanted to sort of tell that story as I was telling the story of CCD, and I ended up, employing the method of using the role of the beekeeper in society, and how the role of the beekeeper originally the role of the beekeeper in society in ancient Egypt and possibly Sumerian culture was a religious role, and then the church took it up and all the church candles had to be formed from beeswax, and then science took it up and told us that bees were important to agriculture, and so I extended that analogy and said, well, now the beekeeper is an environmental monitor, and he's telling us what's going on in the environment. And so so you go from sacred to scientific to this sort of environmental monitor.
Next on Meet the Farmer TV, VICFA's Farm Food Voices and a special tribute to Catherine Russell.
It's a pleasure to be here to talk to you today. It's been an honor, really, to be part of VICFA since the day it was founded, and we've come so far, and today we need to give Catherine Russell a great round of applause for such a great event. We got our ducks in a row this time. What I'm going to talk to you about today is sustaining the farm. How do you stay in business? How do you pay your bills? It's great to be a farmer, but if you can't sustain yourself, you aren't going to be farming very long. Double H Farm started in 1998 with my partner Gene, and today, 2009, we're sustaining our farm.
Thanks for joining us for another Meet the Farmer TV. And please let each of our underwriters know you appreciate their support bringing you Meet the Farmer TV. Check out their websites and tell them personally you appreciate their support underwriting Meet the Farmer TV.
Meet the Farmer TV is made possible by Planet Earth Diversified, Melli Productions, and Leslie P. Jenkins Photography and Graphic Design. In the Kitchen magazine, serving the community and everyone who loves good food. Culpeper's Channel 21, helping to preserve the agricultural history of Virginia. And Flavor magazine, serving the Piedmont's local food and wine culture.